Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here today because we're looking at something that, well, at first glance, it seems completely mundane. But trust me, it holds a really profound sociological secret. We're going to take a raw piece of everyday administrative paperwork and hit it with a forensic data science lens. What we're really unpacking today is this amazing insight about the world around us. That boring, everyday administrative data, it actually hides dynamic human micro-communities. We're talking established hierarchies, cliques, rich histories, the whole shebang. You just have to know how to read the data. Okay, let's dive into this and uncover the profound human story hiding right in plain sight within a seemingly ordinary grid. So our primary source today is a raw class roster from the FU DILIMAN Basic Education Department. Specifically, this is their junior high school division, and we are looking at the data set for the 2026 to 2027 school year. Now, institutional data from 2026 is an absolutely fascinating data set to explore. Think about it. This is a post-pandemic generation, right? A cohort that has experienced massive, unprecedented shifts in how education is even delivered, and now they're reaching their upper secondary years. What looks like just a standard grid of names and headers is actually it's a structural map. It's literally the architectural blueprint of a highly specific group of young people gathered together for one defining academic year. We usually take these rosters completely for granted, but they're incredibly rich datasets just waiting to be parsed. Let's narrow our focus a bit and ground ourselves in the setting of our explainer. The section name is Grade 10 Nifty. And right under that section name, we find the class advisor, Mr. Alfonso or Victor C. Castro. Now, let's be honest for a second about the heavy burden placed on a high school homeroom advisor. Mr. Castro isn't just an educator grading papers here. He is essentially a diplomat. He's tasked with managing the chaotic, highly charged social ecosystem of teenagers, navigating all the drama, and somehow keeping everyone academically focused. And the petri dish where this year-long sociological experiment actually happens? Room H409. Just picture it. Room H409 is the physical space where all these unseen data dynamics we are about to unpack will manifest in real life every single day. Now, let's shift gears from the administrative framework over to the actual human element. Room H409 contains exactly 32 students. Whenever you see a head count like this in an organizational setting, you should immediately recognize it as the absolute perfect sample pool for finding microtrends. In network theory, 32 individuals is a fascinating dynamic. It's large enough to naturally fracture into distinct subcultures, cliques, and little friendship groups, but it remains just small enough that absolutely everyone knows everyone else's business. 32 distinct personalities, academic backgrounds, and personal histories, all converging in one single room. It's a remarkably robust data set, and we're going to break down exactly how this specific group of 32 is structurally composed. And this brilliantly illustrates the immediate demographic breakdown of our 32 students. We have a wonderfully balanced classroom environment of exactly 15 male students and 17 female students. It is nearly a perfectly symmetrical 50-50 split. So why does this kind of gender parity actually matter? Well, because it fundamentally shapes the hum of the room, you know? It influences how group projects are divided, how class participation plays out, and it ensures that no single demographic overwhelmingly dominates the overall classroom culture. It creates a really stable baseline for Mr. Castro's class. But a balanced gender breakdown is just the very first, outermost layer of the onion. If we look a little closer at the roster's underlying metadata, an entirely new structural pattern starts to emerge. I want you to put on your data scientist hats with me for a moment. If you look closely at the student no column right next to the names, you quickly realize these aren't just random strings of digits generated out of thin air. No way. It wasn't until I really looked at the prefixes, the first 4 digits of the ID, that I realized what we were actually looking at. In institutional systems like FU DILIMAN's, those prefixes embed historical data. Specifically, they indicate the exact year a student was first entered into the school's system. When we stop reading this as just a boring list of names and start reading it as a chronological timeline of enrollments, the data opens up entirely. Let's break down the male students first and see what history reveals. When we isolate the male roster dataset, just look at the incredible spread of their starting ID numbers. Out of 15 boys, we have prefixes scattered across 2015, 2017, 2019, 2021, 2023, and 2026. This indicates a highly varied, almost chaotic entry point into the school system over an 11-year period. Think about the emotional weight of that data for a second. We've got mid-journey transfers who arrived in 2021 and had to awkwardly navigate pre-existing social circles, mixing with brand new arrivals whose IDs were generated just for this 2026 school year. The male side of Grade 10 Nifty isn't a cohesive block at all. It's a wide, scattered distribution. It is a total patchwork of long-timers, transfers, and newcomers. Let's move to the girls' side of the roster and see how this builds. Here is the breakdown for our 17 female students. We see prefixes spanning from 2017 to 2026. At first glance, it feels like a similar scattered spread, right? A wide range of entry years. But when you actually count the volume attached to one specific year, a massive irregularity jumps right out at you. There is an enormous concentration of students who all share the exact same entry year, fundamentally shifting the demographic weight and the social power dynamic of the female side of the classroom compared to the highly scattered male side. This structural difference is absolutely fascinating when juxtaposed. On the left, our male ID spread is a relatively even variety of starting years with no single year dominating the pack. But on the right, the female ID spread reveals a massive cluster. Exactly 9 out of the 17 female students possess a student ID starting with 2023. Over half of the girls join the school system at the exact same time, exactly 3 years prior to this roster. This points to the start of their grade 7 junior high journey. Connect this to the real world for a second. Imagine being one of the new 2026 female students walking into room H409. You are immediately facing a massive, cohesive clique that already has 3 full years of inside jokes, established hierarchies, and shared history. That is an imposing sociological block, and it's driven entirely by data. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the outliers, the students sitting at the fringes of our clusters. We have Kevin Seldrick Annon and Reyh Christopher Lara. Their IDs start with 2015. On a 2026 roster, that suggests an astounding 11-year history with the institution. I mean, these two have been walking the halls of FU DILIMAN since primary school. They are the ultimate veterans of room H409. They definitely know all the secret shortcuts, the cafeteria hacks, and exactly which teachers let you slide. Then you have the singletons, the sole 2019 male ID, or the single female entrants from 2020, 2024, and 2025. Unlike that massive 2023 cluster, these singletons represent completely unique individual journeys without a built-in cohort to lean on. As we zoom back out from the individual cohort dynamics, we have to look at a tiny, easily missed yellow box at the bottom corner of our source document. It reads, Update as of July 15, 2026, 5 p.m. So the crucial point is, this data is incredibly fragile. This roster is not some permanent reality. It is merely a highly specific, time-stamped snapshot. This is a vital lesson in data literacy for us. What happens if a student drops out on the morning of July 16th? What if a late transfer arrives in August? Institutional record-keeping is meticulous, freezing this exact combination of 32 students in administrative time. But the reality of a classroom? Well, that's a living, breathing, and highly fluid organism. We have extracted so much deep structural insight from a single piece of administrative paper today. We discovered the imposing 2023 female cluster, the 11-year veterans from 2015, and the whole patchwork of mid-journey transfers. But as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a thought that transcends the spreadsheet. Every prefix we decoded today represents a real individual. 32 teenagers preparing to walk into room H409 and navigate a whole year of their lives together. What profound friendships, challenges, and untold stories exist behind these meticulously organized rows of data? I challenge you to look at your own workplace rosters, your gym signups, or your community lists with this exact same analytical lens. Keep looking for the hidden stories in the data around you, because trust me, they're absolutely everywhere.